I'm sitting there watching him shoot Shannon. He must have made 30 in a row all net.
So he was Steph Curry before Steph, before Steph.
Yeah. And I'm sitting there saying, this dude can play.
Okay.
Because, you know, brothers, we always say, okay, can the white dude really play?
Correct.
You know?
Right.
So then I said, oh, man, he a bad boy.
Right.
Then we got in the game. Jack Givens was player of the year that year.
Right.
He tore him up, man.
From Jack Givens from Kentucky.
Kentucky.
Because they won the national championship in '78.
Right. That same time.
Yeah, okay.
Man, Larry Bird was taking it to him. I said, oh, man. I'm calling back home saying, oh, he for real. He for real. This dude, Larry Bird?
Right.
Oh, he got it. He can play.
Hey yo, what's shaking everybody? Welcome to the channel. I hope you guys out there are all doing good. Everybody's safe. My name is Kane. Please subscribe to the channel and hit that bell so you always know whenever the kid drops a video. Today I'm going to be reacting to Magic vs. Bird, a courtship of rivals, part 1.
Indiana State versus Michigan State. A game that still ranks as the highest rated college final ever on television. A game that's now remembered as a prologue to a rivalry that transformed a sport and intertwined two legacies. But on that night, March 26, 1979, the first time Magic Johnson and Larry Bird ever went head-to-head on a basketball court. They were simply two young men trying to win a very big ball game.
Well, this is probably the biggest game I'll ever play in my life, and I just feel like, you know, I'm representing not only myself, my team, but we're representing our school and our town of Terre Haute.
Well, it's a dream come true, really, for me. I won the state title back in my home state, and then my next accomplishment was going to the NCAA and playing in a game like tonight in the finals.
They were two stars thrown together by the cosmos to compete, but only one of them had been groomed for the spotlight. In his case, it seemed since birth.
I think his upbringing in East Lansing really put that smile on his face in the beginning, and it never came off.
Born August 14th, 1959.
Oh, look at
Irvin
Magic.
Johnson grew up in Lansing, the gritty industrial capital city of Michigan. Raised under this little roof, he was one of Christine and Irvin Johnson Sr.'s 10 kids. Christine was a school custodian, while Irvin Sr. worked 2 jobs nearly around the clock.
My father, he got up early every morning, 6 o'clock or so, and he went to work on his trash hauling truck every single day. Around noon, he would come home, catch a nap, and then he worked for General Motors for 30 years. And he won an award for never being late and never missed a day.
That's right, brother.
As a youngster, Irvin displayed his own strong work ethic on the blacktop.
I was out there all day long. Before we went to school, the bus leave at 7:30, I was out there at 6:30 working on my game. My mother sometimes had to bring me food, or she would have one of my brothers and sisters, go get that boy so he could eat something.
From a very young age, Irvin knew what he wanted to do. He had it all planned out.
My dreams were to play in the NBA and become a businessman.
And that's what the fuck he
neighborhood
did.
basketball powerhouse, Sexton High.
I knew the players, I knew the tradition. I wanted to be a part of that. And it was on the west side of town, which was, at that time, predominantly black.
But when Lansing, like many cities in the mid-70s, began busing to desegregated school system, Irvin's journey took an unexpected detour to a predominantly white school across town.
My first day at Everett High School was my first time I really had to understand there was a race problem. Nobody white would speak to anybody black, and nobody black would speak to anybody white.
A lot of racial tension, a lot of fights, rioting. They didn't want minorities there.
Yeah.
He kind of shrugged it off, and basically his attitude was, okay, well, I'll overcome this.
Whenever there was any racial problems, the principal would get Irvin and go talk to these kids. I can just see him with his big hands. Calm down, just calm down. He'd break up fights.
Talk with his friends, tell him, you know, let it go. You know, we can't fight about everything. Let's just chill, let's play basketball.
And there was no dispute over Irvin Johnson's ability to play ball.
That's where they are
His
respected,
talent
bro, though.
was so
You know what I'm
great
saying?
that soon after his varsity debut, a local reporter, dazzled by his exploits, gave the budding star a nickname.
In the beginning, I thought it was foolish and dumb. You know, I didn't know nothing about a nickname.
Foolish and dumb.
Then what happened was, you start saying, wait a minute, it fits my game.
Right.
Hanging out with my boys on the street corners, we used to sing Temptation songs. They started saying, hey man, Magic, that's cool. And then people on the street start saying, hey Magic. And I said,
Yo, it's funny because, like, for the longest time, I didn't even know Irvin was his first name. I thought it was Magic, like dead ass, you know what I'm saying? But hey, man, it goes with it.
His senior year, Johnson did at Everett what he had planned to do at Sexton, win the state championship. And when it came to choosing a college, he decided to stay where the love would be assured, home in Lansing.
Next year, I will be attending Michigan State University.
At MSU, Magic's star quickly went national. But atop the college game, he soon discovered a certain presence beside him.
What if Bird and Magic played on the same team? Not Team USA or in the All-Star game, but what if the mentality was kind of like it was today? Where like players want to join with each other to try to get a championship. Like, get in the comment section, let me know. That team would have been crazy if that was ever reality.
I think our first game was in Kentucky. We got about a 10, 12-point lead. Man, they put us in, went to 25, 30, just that fast.
Yeah, man.
Fast break again, 3-on-2, Griffith.
Magic makes the fast break look so like
take us out.
It's like an
Go
orchestra.
back down, put us back in.
That's Bird and Johnson.
The show started again.
When you play with Magic, there's just something about it. You want to make that extra pass. You want to
Hell
get that
yeah.
rebound and start the break.
We came down a couple times. I go behind my back, no look to him. He no look back to me. And I'm laying it up. I'm saying,
Hey, that's
man.
tough.
There's that last play. Magic Johnson.
Look at that.
He
He
drops off the Bird. Bird puts it back off inside to Johnson. Super basket.
This guy got game.
Yeah, hell yeah.
They had some wonderful moments on the court.
There's no denying
They
it.
probably spoke to each other 4, maybe 5 times during that entire time period. And it was more like, hello, how are you this morning, Larry? I'm good, Magic. What'd you have for breakfast? Don't remember. Have a nice day.
But such curtness was hardly strange coming from Larry Bird, who was not only one of college basketball's best players, but also its biggest enigma.
I think he was a mystery to the extent that he wanted to be a mystery. He didn't enjoy doing interviews. He didn't go out of his way to do them. He wasn't particularly good at them.
Right.
He was kind of like, hey, this is who I am. You want to know who I am? Watch the game. That's who I am.
I start to read materials that you're very quiet and you don't enjoy talking to newspaper people.
Well, you know, there's different kind of newspaper people. There's people that try to push you. You know, there's people try to get things out of you. Things don't even pertain to basketball, and them are the type of people I like to stay away from.
He didn't want
Excellent.
people talking about...
Yo, Larry Bird, I couldn't agree more with that shit. You know, you have reporters that, like, I don't know if they get a raise or whatever it is, if they get a player to say something controversial. And a lot of them are after that. When they ask you a question, they're trying to make you mad. That's the point of it. Let's try to get an Iverson practice moment. Let's try to get some type of shit like that. You know what I'm saying? And there are reporters out there who are not about that. And oftentimes, those reporters are not the ones that are the most famous. So I agree with Larry Bird, man. Like, they are, the media, they like bloodsuckers.
His family. He didn't want his mother to have to deal with that or his siblings to have to deal with that.
You got to remember where Larry came from. You know, Larry was raised in a 2 or 3 room house on a railroad track. Their family probably lived on $50 a week. He was raised tough.
Larry Joe Bird grew up in southern Indiana, in the twin towns of French Lick and West Baden.
West Baden.
The Valley, as locals call it, was a tough working class area. Tiny and remote, it was one of the poorest places in the state.
I didn't know that people made millions of dollars. I didn't know that everybody had a family car. I was in my own cocoon. I was in a small town with the people I knew, and I thought I would live there for the rest of my life.
Arriving Pearl Harbor Day 1956, Larry was the 4th of 6 kids born to Georgia and Joe Bird. Early on, he and his older brothers earned a reputation around the valley.
We were always considered troublemakers. We're either fighting amongst ourselves or there was always one of us fighting somebody. Larry was always one that kind of instigated things, you know.
If I get my brother in a fight with somebody his age, I was happy as hell because I like to see him get beat up, and that's just the way it was. If I got in a scrape with some kid and my brothers didn't come to my side, they knew that when he got home, my dad was going to whip him.
Yeah.
Larry and my dad were best of friends. They done everything together. When my dad would go out to my grandma's house, Larry would always go with him. They'd go fishing, do a lot of things together.
But Joe Bird also had a darker side, stemming from a traumatic tour of duty in Korea.
Larry remembers waking up in the middle of the night hearing his father's blood-curdling screams from the nightmares he had had from the war. What happened to his father in the war affected his entire life.
Right.
He was never able to quite get rid of whatever those demons were.
A talented craftsman, Joe Bird struggled to hold steady jobs. And even when he was working, his demons would, on occasion, drive him to the bottle.
There were times when Joe went out with the guys and had a few beers and the wages didn't come home that night. And that didn't happen every day. It happened once in a while, but when money is as tight as it was for the Birds, once in a while was a major problem for their family.
My mom sometimes worked late and sometimes she had 2 jobs, but that's the way it was. I worked at school during my lunch hours, worked at the local grocery store, put up hay in the summer. I mean, if you wanted money, you had to get it on your own.
To young Larry, actions spoke louder than words.
He was very quiet, kind of hung to himself a little bit.
I saw Larry take an F in an English class because he had to get up in front of his peers and give a speech.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna do it. But he just could not get up in front of his friends and talk. He was that shy.
Of course, next thing you know, when he knew it was time for all of us together at the gymnasium, well, there he'd be. The minute he'd get a basketball in his hand, things were totally different.
Basketball was just, it came to me, seemed like easy. I didn't have the quickness, I didn't have jumping ability. I just thought the game out.
By his senior year at Springs Valley High, Larry Bird had sprouted into a star. But Bird was from the valley, hardly a hotbed of talent in the big-time world of Indiana hoops.
The first thing they say, well, they don't play nobody down there. He's from French Lick. They don't play nobody.
I think that put a chip on his shoulder, always having to prove who he was and how good he was.
He was good enough for Indiana University's Bobby Knight to come calling late his senior year. And folks in the valley couldn't have been prouder. Their local hero was heading 60 miles north to play ball for one of the best college teams in the land.
Once I got to IU, it didn't take long to realize that I was out of my cocoon, had over 30-some thousand students, that I didn't have the funds. First week and a half, I thought, man, this ain't gonna work.
He left after 24 days.
Let my mother down. She didn't talk to me for 2 months, but it didn't matter what other people said. To this day, I don't care.
Back in French Lick, Bird took to working for the city, hauling trash and painting park benches. Meanwhile, by that winter, his father's demons had taken him to an even darker place.
By this point, Joe and Georgia were divorced, and he was behind in his payments to the family. The police came by, and of course they all knew him. So Joe said, hey, I need a few hours to get my affairs together before you take me away. So he called Georgia and he said, you guys will be better off without me, and I'm gonna take my life. And he put the phone down and he killed himself. He shot himself.
Damn.
When Dad passed, you know, it hurt Larry. I mean, that was his best friend.
I did not know that.
It's gone now.
I was mad when I heard about it, and I was madder after the funeral because I thought he sort of cut out on us during a tough time. But you know, he went through a lot in his life. He did what he had to do.
Wow.
If Bill Hodges hadn't been as persistent as he had been, Larry Bird might never have existed in any of our minds. I believe that with all my heart. I really do.
It was Bill Hodges, a young coach from Indiana State University, who convinced Bird to give college hoops another shot. So with a promise to his mom to graduate, Bird headed to Terre Haute and ISU, a school that never so much had been to the NCAA tournament.
Once I started playing, it's the same old thing. You know, he's at a small school and he ain't playing against anybody, which is fine. Still dominated.
It's that slight flex, still dominated. I like that.
Indiana has a new state bird. Now his claim to fame is just the way he plays the game. Indiana has a new state bird. It's not the Cardinal now. Hey Larry, take a bow. Indiana has a new state bird.
By the time he had led tiny ISU as a senior to a 33-0 record and a spot in the '79 title game, Larry Bird had become, alongside Magic Johnson, the talk of college basketball. Just a year after sharing the court on Team USA, they were back together. And the day before the big game, Magic couldn't wait to greet his old playmate.
Indiana State was on practicing, and we were waiting in the tunnel. We got there early. I wanted to definitely say hello to Larry, you know. When they came through, it was like nobody would say nothing. I wanted to go toward him, like his guys, like made sure that he didn't say nothing. And then they kind of start snickering, like, Michigan State, you in trouble. We're gonna kill you guys tomorrow.
I probably did snub him. I don't remember it, but I'm sure I did. I didn't want any, you know, like I call it love fest, hugging and slapping high fives with opponent. You're there for a reason. You're there to win a game.
That just said it's on now.
I mean, that's why, that's part of the reason why we fuck with Larry Bird, man, in that era, right?
I mean, let's face it, if Larry Bird were black and came from Chicago, it wouldn't have been as big a deal. They were polar opposites. One black, one white, one outgoing, one shy. That was the charm of the attraction.
The Bird against Magic. All of the superlatives have been used, and believe me, all of them have been warranted.
Heading into the tournament, Magic was the bigger star. But by tip-off, it was Bird, having hardly missed a shot in the semifinal, who had become the focus of fans, and more importantly, of Michigan State.
We actually had two men on Larry everywhere he went.
There he is, Dick. Look at they have him sandwiched in completely.
I'm surprised they didn't play a box on one, you know, 4 guys on Larry and 1 on the other 4, because they didn't have a lot of talent. You know, if you stop Larry, you pretty much stop them.
Look at the pressure around him. 2-3 men, and he's short.
I didn't play well at all. Biggest game of my life, I didn't play well.
Way short.
I think our length and our size, our jumping ability was able to bother him.
Bird hanging, can't score.
I didn't shoot well, missed, I think 3 free throws.
Larry Bird has had a cold shooting night.
He ain't have nobody around him, man. That's why he lost.
I battled him, but I didn't have it.
Magic, not only were you a leader on offense, I thought you did a great job on Larry Bird in the zone denying him the ball.
Yes, Coach gave us a good game plan to go against Larry Bird, and all we had to do was go out and do it. That's what we done.
And congratulations, Super Bowl game.
Magic got Bird in college, but you know, they definitely gonna see each other again, as we know. There's a lot of stuff I did not know that Larry Bird went through, like the stuff with his dad. And then Magic, I mean, they both came from humble beginnings, but you can make a strong argument that Larry Bird, he grew up way rougher than Magic, you know what I'm saying? But we don't know every little detail though about Magic too, but that's it for the video, guys. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and follow me on Instagram at I'm Hurricane Isaac 95. I'm gone. Peace.